All right. Hey, welcome. Hey, hope you're all having a good summer and enjoying the lake or hiking or swimming or whatever you do for the summer. However, Awana is starting soon, so I'm creating this live stream training to just give you some thoughts and tips on getting started effectively and maybe it's not so much stress. And so just a couple things you need to maybe get done over the next couple weeks to give you a good start. Some of you are starting I know in the next couple weeks, some in September. So yeah, so we're going to do that, and hopefully I can help you out. So let's get started. So first thing you want to think about is you want to have a club calendar. And so if you're the ministry director, I know there's some new ministry directors that are on this, and some old ones, but if just kind of a reminder, and for the new ones, you want to build a club calendar. So hey, what's the first night of club? Are you going to take Thanksgiving week off? What are the dates that you have that you're going to do club? Are you going to take, um, the 2 weeks of a Christmas? Do you have a spring break? Do you have a winter break? What are the days that you're doing club? Um, and then what's the last night of club? And then sprinkle in there. You might want to have put some theme nights in there. Some clubs I know will do a theme night once a month. Some will do every week. And I would just suggest if you do it once a month, great. If you do it every week, it doesn't have to be some dress up night. Um, and matter of fact, if it is, you may have some pushback from parents, especially mom. If she's got 3 or 4 kids and she's got to dress up her kids every week or every other week, then that might be a problem. But you could have something, simple balloon night or popsicle night, or just have some theme nights to add some extra excitement. So the first thing you want to do is build your club calendar. I know as ministry director at our church, when I could get that done, that was a huge weight. Now, if you're a club director, um, you may want to think about, okay, so if you're a T&T director and you've got 32 sections, and how are you going to pace those out throughout the year? Same with a trek or a journey, cubbies, okay, you know, so that at the end of the year you don't have to make up 4 or 5 sections. So you want to take that calendar for the year and pace out. Okay, what are we doing the first week? We got the start zone or the bear hug brochure, all those kind of things, and you want to put those in your calendars. Now, if you're a ministry director, some ministry directors do it for everybody, uh, or if you're a club director and you just have to be responsible for the T&T, get the dates from your ministry director, and then start adding, um, you know, the pencil out the year so that you can make sure you get everything done. So first thing you want to do is build your club calendar, and that's a huge, once you get that done, it's a huge weight. Next thing you want to do, gather your team. So what I mean by that is, if you're a ministry director, you want to gather who's going to be your Cubby director, who's going to be your T&T director, who's going to be your Sparks director, who are your key people, and then if you're a club director, who are your, um, who's on your team, who's going to be the Bible teacher, who's the small group leaders, maybe who's going to be doing the games. You want to just kind of gather some of your key people. Start. You maybe send an email out to everybody. Hey, I want to start soon, so on and so forth. So you just want to start talking to those people and getting them, kind of pulling them back from summer. So gather your team. Next thing you want to do is, if you can, you want to recruit some new volunteers. So every year, there's people who've been serving for 20, 30, 40 years, but there's also people who just are there for a season. And so you want to recruit some new volunteers. And so you can make an announcement on Sunday. You can ask some parents. Um, there's just a bunch of things you can do to recruit new volunteers. And maybe, as you are getting ready to start the year, maybe make some announcements on Sunday here. Hey, Awana's starting, and we need some people to help with X. We need some dads to help with game time, or we need some people to help teach the Bible. Now, one thing you don't want to say is, hey, I want to start soon. We're going to have all these kids here, and it's crazy chaos. We need some people to help. Because the message there is like things are out of control, and we just need some bodies. But you want to talk to people about How can they make a difference in building the church of 2050? How can they, reaching the next generation? Use kind of those kind of language, not like desperation. We just need somebody to, uh, breathing bodies. Now, I'll give you another tip, recruiting some new volunteers. Sometimes we've had some clubs who they have dads, they have rotating dads. So maybe the dad might not want to teach a Bible lesson, but he might want to lead games. So if he's the only game guy, great. But sometimes they'll have rotating dads. So, Mr. Johnson will take the first Wednesday of the month. Mr. Jones will take the second. Mr. Smith will take the third. And so you may be able to recruit some dads to help with game time. The other thing you can think about is, and I've given this recommendation, is you could set up a snack schedule, um, and have parents bring snacks, and then you could say, hey, on the night that you bring snacks, um, we'd like you to ask you to stay and help. And now there's some child protection issues there, and you need to talk to your pastor and how you want to handle that. But you could get some moms to help. So if you got, you know, each mom helps once a quarter, twice a year, once a year, however many kids you got, that could be very helpful. And then if you're going to do that, really define what you want their help for, and you figure that out. So when they get there, you know exactly to tell them, hey, this is what I need you to do at large group time or at game time. I want you to stand on the red line with the kids and blah blah blah. You kind of explain that. And then at large group time, I want you to sit with a group of kids and just help them answer the questions. Help them find, where is the book of 1 Corinthians? Help them find 1 Corinthians. And so you want to define exactly what those parents, do. Now, the other thing, another tip too, you may have some people who can't commit every week, but you could say, hey, can you be a substitute? So if we're getting a jam, can I call you for a substitute? I've had some years where we didn't quite have enough people, and so we could get some help with substitution. Now, when you do that, you can all kinds. They can do all kinds of things. They can help with games. They can help with whatever, but have a list of substitutes. The other thing you could use those substitutes for is if you have special theme nights where you need extra help, you could use those substitutes. Hey, Mom, we just need you. Hey, it's Ice Cream Sunday night. Can you come on January 5th and scoop ice cream? And, most parents are going to cooperate with that. So you want to start thinking about your volunteers. Now, I would say, too, if you're the ministry director, you're responsible for the ministry, but don't just, if you're a club director or if you're a leader, you want to recruit people as well, because you may travel in different circles than other people do. And so you want to, you have your group of people that you have influence over. So it's kind of recruiting volunteers is kind of an all hands on deck. And if you're a ministry director, club director, by all means encourage your leaders to recruit new people, because Mrs. Jones may have a friend and they are really close and they do stuff together and their homeschool group together, and she may be able to talk to somebody about helping. So empower all your people to recruit volunteers. So you want to start recruiting some new volunteers. Next thing you want to do is you want to make some announcements to the church. So when's your first night? And then, you may, hey, the second 2 or 3 weeks before, on a Sunday morning, ask your pastor, hey, can we make an announcement? And I think the good way to do that is if you play a short video, hey, or have somebody give a testimony. And again, you don't want to make, you want to talk about the spiritual side of Awana, not like, hey, we just need all kinds of help, and so on and so forth. And when you make that announcement, you're going to say, hey, we're going to start, registration's open, here's how you register. And they might, sometimes it's a little bit different now, but clubs used to have a little registration table at the back, and so you could register. But now it's like we've got these online registrations, so you could say, hey, attach that somewhere to the church website, or put a link on there, and then here's how you register, Billy and Joey. And then also, when you make those announcements, hopefully you've had an email list from last year's kids, and send that email out to those people, letting them know, hey, Awana's starting again in September 2nd. And here's how you register. And so you want to start making announcements to the church. And you might want to do that a couple weeks in a row just to kind of, if somebody's missing church, people are on vacation in August. So they start, if the church has a Facebook page or Facebook group, and if your Awana Club has a Facebook group, put that on there. So make some announcements to the church. Next thing you want to do is you want to schedule a training and or a leader kickoff meeting. And so you might want to do this maybe the week before, 2 weeks before. Depends on if you've got a lot of volunteer or veteran leaders, you might not need to have quite as much training. But I would suggest if you had a training or a leader kickoff meeting, invite everybody, have a meal, get some pizza or whatever you want to do, and then have some general. If you're the ministry director, have some general information. Hey, here's the calendar, and thank you for serving, and maybe play an Awana video or ask a couple people to give testimonies about how God used them last year. And then take that leader kickoff meeting and separate into clubs. So you'll have the Sparks people will go to one area, the TNT people will go to another area, and the Cubbies will go to another area, and you start getting them to start, and then let that club director, okay, here's what we're doing. Maybe they had some things that needed to do better. Maybe they had some things that they really liked, and so you let those club directors, lead their club. The Cubby director leads the Cubby club, and so on and so forth. Now, the other thing you might want to think about, especially if you're the ministry director, there are some resources out there. Hey, we have an online training. There's some things called roll books. There are some things called pocket guides that are really good for training. If you're the club director, an exercise for you might be to say, hey, what are your expectations for a handbook leader? What's your expectations for the handbook leader? And write down 4 or 5 things. And then for a large group time, what do you want your leaders doing for a large group time? So that way you give your people expectation of what's going to happen when they get there. So schedule a training, leader kickoff meeting. And the last thing you want to do is make your first order. And sometimes this time of year, Awana takes a little long to get stuff, shipped. It's getting better, but if you don't want to order the day before or a week before, and hoping that everything's going to get there on first night of club, you might want to order a couple weeks before. Now, if your clubs, if finances are an issue, then I would suggest you could just get the start zones. And then you have registration, people start giving money, or they're paying the registration fees, and then you have a bunch of money where you can go buy books. And now that most of those start zones or Flight 316s, they're designed for 2 or 3 weeks. So in that first registration night, you give out those start zones, and now you've got money that you can and go home that night, and hey, we've got 20 TNTs, we've got 20 Sparks, we've got 20 Cubbies, and you go and order all that stuff, and people have given you money to cover that. So you want to make your first order. So those are the things to think about. Get your calendar, you gather your team, kind of your key people, recruit some new volunteers, make some announcements to the church, communicate with the church, schedule a kickoff meeting, and then make your order. And then if you do those kind of things, it makes it really smooth. I always tell people, the big part of, if you're a ministry director, a lot of your work is done over the summer. And then once the summer happens, or once the club year starts, the club year unfolds. You've got all your theme nights, you've got everything calendared out, and it makes it really easy. But if you really focus on getting all that stuff done early, then it makes it for a really easy thing. So hopefully that was helpful, and thanks again for all you're doing. I certainly am very excited about how God's going to be working this year, and new salvations, people making decisions, people recommitting. Maybe you'll have some teenagers who all of a sudden they really get it, or maybe you'll have some adult volunteers who They thought, hey, I'm just a helper, and all of a sudden they get a vision for how God can really use them um, to advance the kingdom. That's so exciting when people uh, really see that they're encouraged by how God can use them. So I'm excited about what's going to happen this year. Every year is kind of like anticipation of what's going to happen. So thanks again, and we'll see y'all down the road. Bye bye.